His lips were fire against mine, his hands gripping my waist as if he never wanted to let go. My back pressed against the wall, my breath shallow, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I moaned into his kiss, not caring about the ring on my finger, not caring about the man who had promised me forever. In that moment, I was not a wife. I was a woman who wanted passion, and I was drowning in it. His name slipped from my mouth in a whisper, his name, not my husband's. And even as guilt burned in the back of my throat, my body begged for more. Before I dive deeper, let me take a moment to appreciate you, my audience. To every subscriber who has been supporting this channel, thank you from the bottom of my heart. To all the new and returning viewers who are yet to subscribe, I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. It truly is the fuel and energy that powers me to keep bringing you these raw and emotional stories. Do not just listen, engage. Share your thoughts in the comments, because your voice is what keeps this community alive. My name is Melissa. I am 34 years old, an American white woman from a quiet suburb in Ohio. From the outside looking in, I had everything people said they wanted. A steady marriage, a nice house with a well-trimmed lawn, weekend barbecues with neighbors, and a husband who adored me. My husband's name is Daniel. He is kind, loyal, and safe. He is the man who remembers birthdays, who checks if my car has gas, who holds my hand in public without hesitation. He is the type of man women dream of, and for a long time I thought I was lucky. But the truth, the ugly truth, is that love is not always enough when passion is missing. Daniel and I met in college. He was steady even then, the responsible one, while I was the dreamer with messy hair and loud laughter. He grounded me, and in return, I gave him excitement. Over time, though, that balance shifted. Our life became a cycle of routine. Wake up, work, dinner, television, sleep. Repeat. I remember lying in bed some nights, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was it. If marriage was supposed to feel like companionship without spark. Daniel would reach for me sometimes, gentle, predictable, but my body felt more like it was performing a duty than surrendering to desire. I hated myself for feeling that way. I hated myself even more when I realized I wanted more. It was at work that I met him. His name was Jason. He was new to our marketing firm, younger than me by 2 years, with dark hair and a smile that carried both charm and danger. He had this way of leaning in when he spoke, as if everything I said mattered. Daniel listened too, but Jason noticed me. He saw the little details, the shade of lipstick I wore, the new blouse I bought, the way my laugh changed when I was truly amused. The first time we brushed hands while reaching for the same folder, I felt it. That spark I had been craving. My skin tingled, my stomach fluttered, and for a moment, the office around us disappeared. He looked at me, his eyes holding mine just a second too long, and my heart betrayed me by skipping. I told myself it was harmless. Just attention. Just something I was missing at home. But every day I found myself dressing a little better, adding a touch more perfume, lingering at the coffee machine when I knew he would be there. The moment it crossed from innocent to dangerous happened late one evening. We had been working on a project together, staying after hours while the office emptied. The glow of the computer screens cast shadows across the room, and the silence between us grew heavier by the minute. Jason leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on me. "Melissa," he said quietly, "do you ever feel like you are living a life that looks perfect on the outside but feels empty on the inside?" His words hit me like a blow. How did he see through me so easily? I should have denied it, should have laughed it off. Instead, I whispered, "Every single day." That was the moment the wall crumbled. He moved closer, his hand grazing mine, and when his lips finally touched mine, I did not resist. The kiss was hungry, forbidden, intoxicating. My heart screamed at me to stop, but my body leaned in, clinging to him like I had been waiting years for this. When I pulled away, breathless, my hand flew to my wedding ring. Guilt slammed into me, but Jason only smiled, brushing his thumb across my cheek. "You deserve to feel alive, Melissa," he whispered. Those words echoed in me long after I left the office that night. At home, Daniel was waiting with dinner on the table. He kissed me softly, asked about my day, and I smiled, lying through my teeth. I wanted to be the wife he believed I was, but all I could think about was the fire Jason had lit inside me. That night, lying beside Daniel, I felt the distance between us more than ever. He reached for my hand, his breathing steady as he fell asleep. And there I was, wide awake, replaying the taste of another man's lips. Over the next few weeks, Jason and I found excuses to spend time together. Lunch breaks turned into long conversations. Group meetings ended with us lingering behind. Every glance across the office felt like a secret language only we spoke. The desire grew until it consumed me. I stopped caring about the risk. I stopped caring about the promises I had made at the altar. All I cared about was how he made me feel, wanted, desired, alive. The first time we crossed the final line, it was in a hotel room just outside the city. I told Daniel I had a late client dinner. My hands trembled as I sent that lie, but the moment Jason pulled me into his arms, every shred of guilt melted into raw, unrestrained passion. His kisses devoured me. His touch was rough, urgent, everything Daniel was not. My body surrendered completely, betraying every vow I had ever made. I whispered Jason's name with reckless abandon, my wedding ring glinting under the dim light like a cruel reminder of the loyalty I had abandoned. When it was over, I lay there in silence, breathless and trembling. Part of me wanted to cry, but another part felt more alive than I had in years. And that was the moment I knew I had chosen passion over loyalty. What I did not know was how much it would cost me. The first time was supposed to be the last. At least, that was what I told myself as I drove home from that hotel room with Jason. My hands were trembling on the steering wheel, my wedding ring burning into my skin like a brand of shame. I promised myself it was a mistake, that I would never let it happen again. But deep inside, I knew I was lying, because I wanted him again. Days turned into weeks, and one stolen night turned into many. Jason and I began living in a rhythm of secrets. At work, we exchanged glances that spoke volumes, a hidden current of desire passing between us. During lunch breaks, he brushed his hand against mine, and I felt the same shiver of electricity that had first drawn me in. By the time we met behind closed doors, our restraint was already gone. Each time, it grew more reckless. Hotels. His car. Once even in the office after hours, the thrill of getting caught making it impossible to stop. My heart pounded every time, torn between fear and exhilaration. I hated the lies, but I craved the passion. At home, Daniel began to notice. He never accused me directly, but his questions carried weight. "You have been working late a lot lately," he said one evening as I changed out of my blouse, my body still humming from Jason's touch earlier that afternoon. I forced a smile. "The project deadline has been brutal." He nodded, but the softness in his eyes was replaced by something else, doubt. The double life wore on me. At work, I was Jason's secret lover, caught up in fiery kisses and tangled sheets. At home, I was Daniel's wife, cooking dinner, folding laundry, making polite conversation at neighborhood gatherings. I became skilled at compartmentalizing, shoving one version of myself into a box while living as the other. But cracks began to show. I caught Daniel watching me sometimes, his gaze lingering longer than usual. He asked me about my phone more often, about where I had been, about who I was with. I brushed it off with easy lies, but inside I panicked. He was loyal, yes, but he was not a fool. Jason, on the other hand, pushed for more. He was intoxicating, but he was also dangerous. The more time we spent together, the bolder he became. One night, after another feverish encounter in his apartment, he looked at me with a serious expression. "Melissa, I do not want to share you forever. I need more than stolen hours. Leave him." My heart slammed in my chest. Leave Daniel? My husband, my provider, my safe place? Jason's words cut through me like a blade. I had chased passion, but I never thought about destroying my marriage completely. "I cannot," I whispered, tears filling my eyes. He kissed me harder, almost angrily, as if trying to convince me with his mouth what my heart could not accept. "You deserve better than routine." You deserve me. His confidence scared me, because part of me believed him. The guilt grew unbearable. There were nights I would sit in the shower until the water turned cold, scrubbing my skin as if I could wash away the betrayal. But the next day, one look from Jason, and I was back in his arms. I told myself it was love, but deep down I knew it was addiction. The way he touched me, the way he made me feel, it was like a drug. And like any drug, the high demanded a price. Daniel's suspicions turned sharper. One evening, as I placed dinner on the table, he asked in a low voice, "Melissa, is there someone else?" The fork nearly slipped from my hand. My stomach dropped. For a moment, I could not breathe. I forced a laugh. Of course not. Why would you even ask that? He stared at me for a long time, his jaw clenched, then simply nodded and said nothing more. But I knew that silence was not peace. It was the calm before a storm. Jason grew impatient. He texted me constantly, wanting more of me than I could give. Sometimes he grew jealous when I could not meet him, accusing me of choosing my husband over him. The irony stung because that was exactly what I was supposed to do. But I did not stop. The last time we met before everything unraveled, it was different. He was rougher, more demanding, his kisses urgent, almost desperate. When it was over, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I will not wait forever. If you do not leave him, I will make sure he finds out." My blood ran cold. Jason was no longer just my secret. He was a ticking time bomb. That night, I lay beside Daniel, my body tense, my mind spinning. Jason's words echoed in my head. The life I had built, the husband who loved me, the vows I had broken, it all teetered on the edge of collapse. I wanted passion, but the cost was about to come due. And when it did, it would shatter everything. The storm came faster than I ever expected. Jason's threat was not idle. Within a week, my world cracked open. It was a Thursday evening when Daniel confronted me. I came home to find him sitting at the dining room table with my phone in his hand. The sight nearly stopped my heart. His eyes were red, his jaw set, and on the table lay open messages, my messages with Jason. "I read everything," he said, his voice calm but razor-sharp. "How long?" My knees buckled, and I fell into the nearest chair. There was no point in lying anymore. My mouth opened, but words failed me. The silence spoke louder than any confession. Daniel pushed the phone toward me. "How long, Melissa?" I whispered, "Months." His face twisted, not in anger, but in heartbreak. "Months while I was here, loving you, protecting you, building a life for us." His voice broke on the last words. The next hours blurred together. He demanded the truth, and I gave it in pieces, sobbing between each word. The lunches, the hotels, the nights I came home to him smelling like another man. Every detail was a dagger, and with each one, I watched my husband's love die right before my eyes. "You chose him over me," he said finally. "You chose passion over loyalty." His words carved into my soul, because they were true. Jason called me that night, but I could not answer. I stared at the glowing screen until Daniel grabbed the phone and threw it against the wall, shattering it into pieces. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. "This is over," Daniel said. His voice was steady, final. "Pack your things. Tomorrow, I want you gone." I fell to my knees, begging, crying, reaching for his hands. But he pulled away. The man who once kissed me with tenderness now looked at me with a coldness that froze me to the core. "Do not touch me," he whispered. The next day, I left the home we had built together. The walls seemed to mock me as I carried my suitcase down the stairs. The photos on the wall, the wedding portrait, the vacations, the Christmas mornings, were no longer memories. They were evidence of everything I destroyed. Daniel did not come down to see me leave. The silence of the house was louder than any shouting could have been. When the door closed behind me, I knew I had lost more than a husband. I had lost a life, a future, and the only man who had ever truly loved me. Jason thought I would run to him, but he was wrong. When I told him what happened, he smiled as if it were a victory. "Now we can be together," he said, pulling me into his arms. but I felt nothing. No passion. No thrill. Only emptiness. The affair that once felt like fire now felt like ashes. The more time I spent with Jason, the more I realized he was not who I wanted. He was only temptation. A fantasy. And now that fantasy had cost me everything real. I ended things with him within weeks, and he moved on quickly, as if I had never mattered. That was when the truth hit me harder than ever. I had destroyed my marriage, not for love, but for lust. Months later, I drove past the old house, the windows glowing with light. Through the glass, I saw Daniel moving around inside, a shadow of the man I once shared everything with. I sat in my car and cried, knowing he was healing without me, rebuilding the life I shattered. I wanted to believe time would bring forgiveness, but deep down, I knew some betrayals leave scars too deep to fade. Now, when I look back, I see the irony. I thought passion would make me feel alive, but all it did was kill everything I loved. I said I do to loyalty, but when I chose passion instead, I lost both. And that is the cost I will carry for the rest of my life.